Hey, darlings, I feel like this is just going to be all over the place, so I don't even know what we're chatting about today. So, I had been feeling really, 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 really down for a while with trying to get used to, polyamorous relationships and everything. And I was struggling because it had felt like I was going to have my main person and, have other connections, but I was going to have just someone. I feel like I've said this like 5,000 times, so that's the thing I want. I follow impact theory, like with Tom Bilyeu and his wife Lisa Bilyeu, and one of the things they talk about is how shared life experience is invaluable. And they have this very powerful, connected, awesome relationship. And it's something I have always admired and I would love to have. And sorry if there's a plow that's being very loud currently. Awesome. And so I've wanted to have someone that I can build that with. And like, yes, having other connections is cool, but just having that main solid person to me sounds just like something I've always wanted. And I thought that I was going to have that with my partner 5. And then as time goes on, it feels like I get less and less and less and less and less and less and less of him. Because he and his wife Ronnie, who's also kind of my partner, there was a lot of interesting mixed messages. So there was, we're best friends who sleep together. So it sounded not so connected, not as romantic. But then he had told me that they're very, very, very connected because they do all this yoga together, and to the point where like they just could sense each other so well, and how he would like rub this oil on her, every night. And my brain kind of latched on to the parts where it seemed like they weren't as close because I think it really wanted him. And then Ronnie had said, how he and I had this very strong connection. We're very compatible in a lot of ways, and how she had that same thing with her partner, just very compatible, just this powerful connection. So I feel like I've said this a billion times too. We pictured these core couples, and then like my friend Stallion would be kind of around in there. And so that felt really good, really awesome. But I'm realizing that Ronnie and 5 need each other a lot more than I think they realized. And it was interesting because at one point they had found out that they really were at a place where they were not each other's priorities anymore. And there was some grief with that because they're thinking, oh, our relationship's not like what it's going to be, because they did think that they were going to be like this core couple and that they'd have other connections, but it would be like them against the world. So when that happened, I was thinking, okay, yes, like I will get to have that with 5, because they're realizing like, yes, we want to have like, these other powerful relationships and not just be like tied to each other. Hopefully I'm getting that correct. I think that's what it was. But yeah, it's been interesting because Ronnie is realizing that she does have these different needs for 5. And it's kind of interesting because I got this sense that like she loves 5, but sometimes maybe didn't like him a ton. I don't know. But anyway, it has been kind of all over the place. And so, because I was talking to 5 about just like how I thought things kind of would be. And he was like, I'm confused why you thought that. Because it's like, I've told you how connected we were. And I felt so stupid at that time and just really embarrassed. But now that I look back on it, it was mixed messages. And I think it was because they didn't know either. But yeah, we're finding out that they do have just a lot of needs for each other. And so that made me feel like there wasn't really room for me or room for the kind of relationship that I was looking for. And so I had struggles with that, but we went out, we had a fun night, and I realized that I still had a lot of feelings for my friend Stallion, who like isn't ready to date or anything, but I was thinking, well, it's still very fun to hang out with them, and like it's fulfilling. And so I was thinking, well, I'm glad that at least I can have feelings for other people, because I was worried that I would just only kind of have feelings for 5 and then just be like, I have needs and I feel like I need to step back because Ronnie has all these needs and she was there first. And I know that doesn't mean anything. Like, for some reason, I have this sense of, like, because she's 5's husband and that, they were already together and already have this established thing, that my needs don't matter and that, I just need to cater to all of their needs. But I mean, that's not true. But yeah, I did just feel like I was in the way, that I had just come in and been like, okay, this is my person, and then found out, oh, this is not mine. Not that you should, there's no such thing as owning people, but it was still a sense that, that he's Ronnie's, and that I'm not going to beat myself up, because like I said, I was. Oh, it's gotten better. But the mixed messages. Anyway, so it's been interesting, because originally we were all thinking of having it'd be a night, like just a section of time. And basically after kids go to bed, to bedtime, would be me and 5 one night, 5 and Ronnie one night, me and Ronnie one night, and then the rest of the time it'd just be all of us together, and we'd all sleep in the big bed every night, and that'd be cool. Because for me, I love the idea of sleeping with the same person every night, like literally sleeping. I mean, other stuff every night would be cool too, but actual sleep, because that's what I've had for a very long time, many years. I was just having the same person to go to sleep with. I mean, it might have been a different person, like I had different relationships, but and so that schedule, I was like, okay, cool. But then it was like, okay, well, Ronnie needs like 2 nights. And then it's like, okay, so Ronnie would get 2 nights, or 2 like evenings of alone time with 5, and then I'd get 2 evenings of alone time with 5. And then the rest would be kind of whatever. I'm thinking, okay, that's okay. And then it was Ronnie needs 2 full nights. So me not getting to sleep with my person that's not my person. And I was like, whew, that feels harder, because there was that fear of getting shoved to the side. And so it felt like you can't even sleep in the same room as us. It felt really like, not so great. And then 5 was like, oh yeah, so actually we have this new schedule where it's going to be Ronnie has 2 full nights, just alone, you're wherever, you and I have 2 full nights, and Ronnie's like sleeping wherever. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, oh, and then I have 2 full nights just going out with friends or whatever, and then sleeping by myself. And I'm like, what? Because to me, I'm thinking 2 nights a week with someone does not feel like, to me, does not feel like a committed relationship. It feels more casual, or like, I mean, it could still be a committed relationship, but it feels not like a primary relationship. It feels like something that's just small, and you're not putting like a lot of time and effort into it. That's my opinion. I know there are some people that could have very beautiful, loving, long commitments on that. But for me, I was like, no. And I was trying to figure out, is this fueling a fear in me? I have to check the time, excuse me, because I don't know when I have to go. Okay, we're good. Yeah, I was trying to figure out, is this a fear in me that I'm scared of getting pushed to the sidelines? Or is this something I legitimately don't want? And pretty much everything in my body was like, this isn't a fear, this is something you legitimately don't want, and not something that you want to work toward wanting. Because like the polyamory stuff is scary and it's hard, but there's a part of me that's like, I want to work toward it. This was just like, I absolutely vehemently do not want this. And so that was a really hard thing to think about. And then it also sparked this sense of like, why do I have a hard time finding people who want me the same amount that I want them? I would love having, like, being with 5 every single night. So I was like, you only want to be with me like 2 nights a week? Okay, that's like, you would rather sleep by yourself. Like, awesome. And so I did some mourning around that. I was thinking, nope. And the interesting thing was, through that, I actually had a lot of like love for myself and a lot of compassion. And I was like trying to do yoga. I was doing yoga with Adrian, and it was like very meditative. And I'm just like randomly crying and like kind of hugging myself, and just picturing being like, I love you. I want you. I think you're awesome. Like, I appreciate who you are. And if other people don't feel that, like, it's nothing to do with you. And that felt really great. And so I think I was able to get to that place because I did a somatic emotional release session with my partner, Ronnie, and she's leading me through my psyche. And the whole time I'm wondering, is this even real? Is it actually accessing like my subconscious? Am I just using my imagination? Because I use my imagination all the time because I'm a writer. But there was a part where a memory came up, and it wasn't even like a regular memory. It wasn't like I was seeing everything and experiencing it through my own eyes. It was like picturing this baby, and she felt very alone, and she felt like whenever anything good comes, it's always taken away. And Ronnie had asked, what do you want to tell this baby? Like, what does adult Kira want to tell? Because it was baby Kira, basically. And I said, the very first thing that popped up, you are wanted. And I instantly started crying because those words felt like they filled this huge, vast, hungry void inside of me. This part that I had always wanted to be wanted, because I got the sense that, I mean, I've always known that I felt like my father didn't want me because he left soon after I was born. But I realized that I felt like my mother didn't want me, and I never thought about it that strongly before. But I know she was in a rough place. Like, I don't think she ever recovered from the heartbreak of my father leaving us. But I can just picture her being young and having that fresh heartbreak. And then I think she already wasn't in a great place. She's always had depression as long as I've known her. And then she had a very emotionally abusive father. She was bullied a ton as a kid. And then having a child out of wedlock back then, probably more difficult than nowadays. And so I feel like I probably got neglected some. And even if it wasn't actual neglect, it might have felt like it. So there might have been times when she could give love and nourishment and take care of me, but there might have been times when she was really distant. There might have been times when she was like, I can't. Because like watching parents, when you get to know them really well, and kind of realizing like, I think there's times when people legitimately do not like their children, because they're so stressful, you know, and if they're just not listening and they're just being just hyper and crazy and just making all these messes and doing all these things where you're like, what the hell? Like, I can picture if you're already in a really tough spot emotionally, trying to take care of this baby and just being like, I flipping can't with you right now. But I feel like it left more wounds than I thought. So having this sense of I am not wanted, like even upon conception, basically, like I probably even felt it in the womb. Like once she knew I was there, she was probably like, crap, like I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this. And so being able to tell myself, I want you, I love you, I'm proud of you, was like insanely healing. And it's been so interesting because I was really struggling with just beating myself up and being really hard on myself and being like, like what is wrong with you, to having that self-love and not taking things as personally, but still it's like hard because the people I seem to love the most like don't want me the same way. And it's like, but at least I'm realizing that like I still have worth, I still have value, and it's not a me thing. It's not like I'm lacking. But it's just, it's still been hard, you know, and I was really grieving stuff with 5, and he's saying that he's feeling really lost and asking for time to find himself. And so I'm trying to figure out what to do about that, because I know what I want, and I don't know if there's a room for me for what I want. And so it's been interesting to try to figure out, what do I do? Because here's this person I love a lot and that has really great qualities, but if he doesn't want similar to what I want, what do I do? And the situation, like, it's far from where I work and where my friends are, and that's a pain. But, you know, it's like this lovely family, and there's so much to learn and so many ways I can continue to grow. And so it's hard to figure out, do I stay? Do I just chill and hope the universe brings me what I want? Is woo-woo. This whole thing is woo-woo. No apologies. So yeah, it's been interesting. But it's been nice that I have been kinder to myself. I've been having more of that self-love. So thanks to Ronnie, holy cow. But yeah, we'll see what happens. We also had a therapy session, and it was really helpful because the therapist was saying to be mindful of the stories we tell ourselves. Because sometimes we will tell ourselves a story. Like, somebody might do something and they'll be like, okay, this is their intent. This is why they did that thing. This is what it means about how they feel about me. And a lot of times those stories aren't true. So it's like, just ask. Just be like, hey, this is the story I'm telling myself. Is this true? So I've been really trying to figure out if what I'm perceiving is true. But I don't know. We will see. At least I love myself. That's really helpful. I feel like that's a huge thing. So fun times. Okay, this is very long. Okay, bye.